Politicians influence the price of bread. You want to feed your babies? You better get involved in the political arena. And she was my first mother in politics. And I could go to her house. She'd be in the backyard in her garden. I said, Commissioner Woodruff, I got a public engagement. Someone didn't show up, but you come be our guest speaker. She would actually drop her bucket, go wash her hands. Where we got to go, baby? That's the kind of person she was. She passed away, and I was in Ohio at that time pursuing another degree. She wanted me to run in her position when she passed away, basically. She was sort of grooming me. But someone else stepped in, and then this person called me and said, but you endorsed me? I said, well, let me check you out first. But I did endorse him, and he passed away, and that's how I became a county commissioner, by the grace of Allah. And then I had to run on my own record after his term expired. So you got to have some kind of leadership capacity. Block captain or a block person or some kind of organization you're affiliated with doing some kind of community work. Demonstrating your leadership. Leadership is not just telling people what to do.
That's right.
It's far from that. It's really sort of being a servant and being sensitive to people's needs and responding to those needs in a sincere fashion. A young lady came to my office literally Thursday. We meet every Thursday at 2 o'clock as county commissioners. She said, Mr. El-Amin, I've been trying for 20 years to get this thing right. They fired me. She gave me the name of the organization illegally. She's suffering with some, issues. So I said, well, listen, I can't give you a county attorney to work with you, but I can recommend somebody to be your lawyer because now I'm a county official, and I'll be a character witness for you. She said, I've talked to 10 public officials, and she named them too, and she's very straight up. You're the first one to even respond to me. So you got to have a sensitivity to people's needs. It's all about the grace of Allah that you're doing what you're doing, so you got to be conscious of that at all times. All right, let's move on. Yes, sir. Please, please, please. It's our state representative, Nasif Majid, of all means.
So you said, you see when I read his resume, you listen to some, it takes time to build a resume like that. And I don't think he did that for a particular office or anything. He did it generically. He took on those responsibilities, but that kind of adds up in your resume when an opportunity presents himself. Not that he was looking for it. If that opportunity presents itself, and generically, it's many roads you can travel to get to political office, but his role was one of a lot of service to the community. So when that position opened up, people just gravitated toward him to fill that position. I had a young man that called me last year and said, Brother Majid, I want some input from you. And I said, yes. He says, I'm going to run for mayor. And he said, what do you think? I said, don't do it. He had no experience. I don't know what he was inspired by. But he did it because he did it, but he should have taken my advice because there was no way. It's just like you said, no, I'm going to run for president tomorrow. You got as much qualifications you had. But your service to the community would be an advantage for you if you did decide to do that. And people have seen you in the lights. People have seen you taking positions. People have seen you working on behalf of the community. So that's an asset in your profile. Thank you.
Alhamdulillah. And if I'm going too fast, I apologize, but I have a limited amount of time. I want to make sure we at least address the questions on the outline. Thank you, Brother Nasif. Number 8, who was responsible for allowing Muslims to take the oath of office on the Holy Quran in North Carolina? Who was our brother? He used to supply food for a lot of the, say it again.
In Minnesota?
No, here in North Carolina. He ran a food service at all these HBCUs for a long time. Out of Fayetteville, North Carolina. He used to be our senator. First senator from the Muslim community, in fact. Representative first, thank you. Then senator. He's from Fayetteville, North Carolina. Say it again. Shaw, Larry Shaw. Larry Shaw. He represented us in General Assembly long before our brother got there. And he's the one who pushed the issue to make sure that it would be acceptable, not only in the General Assembly, but in the court system in North Carolina. If you choose, so you can take the oath on the Holy Quran. That's his work, so we should give him credit for that. Now, he's no longer in that position. He left out, and I can understand why. But he should be given credit for the work that he did. Brother Larry Shaw. Now, number 9, have you attended a precinct meeting, a county convention, or a state convention? Just give it some thought. If you haven't, you might want to do that. That's your starting point to get an idea of what people's concerns are in your community. And I'll say this very quickly. Yeah. To organize a precinct takes about 5 people. That's all. When I served as chairman for the Democratic Party of Forsyth County, I had 101 precincts organized. But 5 people can be in your neighborhood. You can call 5 people up and meet in a public place. It can't be in your backyard. And you can organize a precinct, chairman, vice chair, treasurer, et cetera. And then any kind of information from the state party will come through you or the county party. And I would go out in the community and say, listen, come to the precinct meeting as a starting point. See what's really going to get the information. So if you have an interest, go to find out first where's your precinct. When do they meet? Most people are looking for volunteers because it's hard to come by a good volunteer. So if you show up, the odds are you're going to be elected. The odds are in your favor because they're looking for balanced people with a moral conscience. So I encourage you, go to a precinct meeting. That's the starting point for political organizations. From the precinct, you go into a state convention, or county convention, pardon me. And the county is nothing more than all those precincts coming together to elect officers for the whole county. And from the state, from the county, you go to what? The state level. They do the same thing. The state convention will elect people from all those different precincts. And in North Carolina, we have 500 counties. In North Carolina, 100, right? So we're going to have a meeting very soon, and all those counties will come to that one location, and they will confirm officers for the state party. Same positions, chairman, vice chair, et cetera. So you start where? On the precinct level and go forward. All right, let's move on, because number 10. If you want me to ask a question, please do so. Have you established a working relationship with the city council members or county commissioners, state representatives, or state senators? You want to have that in your background on some level. You got to build coalitions with people to get anything done successfully. 11, do you have a list of 20 citizens who would work in your campaign to be elected? My brothers and sisters, if you can't put a list of 20 people together before you run for office, you might want to rethink your position. You gotta have someone who knows you enough to say, look, I will call someone and say, look, go vote for so-and-so. Or I'll put a sign in my yard. Or I'll talk good about you. And some people talking about you in a positive fashion carries more weight than a lot of other stuff. But you have all kind of data you can use to give people lists of voters. They'll call, put an hour here, an hour there. It makes a monumental difference. In my campaign, I had a funeral director who I've known since I was 16. He said, Plemon, I'm going to put a robocall out for you. I said, no, that's too cold. I want a human voice talking to my people who are going to vote for me, not a robocall. And so he said, I'm going to do it anyway. I said, I didn't tell you to do it. Now, you're going to be hard-headed. Don't put my name on it. It says you're from your office, as you're supporting my campaign, but don't put my name on it like that because I prefer to call people or have people call for me. But he put the robocall out there under his name, and my people got more response than his people. Let's move on. Number 11. Where do we go? No, number 12. What do you file to run for public office? How much does it cost to file? First question, where do you file at to run for public office? City Hall, be more specific. Where in City Hall? The Board of Elections. So you got to go to the Board of Elections to file. Depending on what you're running for, will determine how much you have to pay. All right? It boils down just to that. City council a little bit cheaper than county commissioners. County commissioner a little bit cheaper than state representative, et cetera. But there is a cost for filing. 13, what is the minimum budget that you need to run a campaign? You've got to work the numbers out. You've got to work let me say it again. You've got to work the numbers out. Now, some of us will even determine how many votes occurred in the office you want to run for, and what was the cost behind each vote. But in other words, it's all public information.
It's called targeting.
Called targeting. Go right ahead, sir. Oh, couple of hands, yes, sir.
Is your campaign funding, is it under your name or your organization's name in the bank?
In the bank. I would suggest you put it up under the campaign's name, not your personal name.
Right.
And I suggest you have a separate treasurer who's not you.
Who's not who?
You.
Oh,
You understand?
yeah.
All right. You want to have a qualified treasurer who knows how to follow those reports for you. I'm going to say it again. A qualified treasurer. Because the statute requires you to follow those reports on a certain time. If you don't follow them on time, your name goes in the paper. Could be jail time. So the person I had on my campaign, he was a vice president of Wachovia. We went to high school together. He's retired. He said, Plemon, I got this for you. So he set up everything I needed. A web page, how to donate button, kept the numbers, and he wouldn't let me spend a dime without his approval. That's the kind of person you want, though. Someone you trust, who's qualified to be your treasurer.
So there is an agency that keeps check on what politicians are doing.
Oh, yes, you got to make a public record of it. And if you don't follow supports on time, you get a knock on your door, your treasurer's door. Somebody will say you violated a certain statute, and they're going to hold you accountable for that. Yes. Okay, excuse me. Poor filing, can't do that. Cannot do that. I apologize for getting my stuff together here. I got to work on some of this weight. All right, now, yes, sir.
Is there a certain number of petitions that you have to have when you file with the election commission in terms of run for certain offices? I know some cities have a certain amount of names you need to present to the
Okay,
board.
that's only if you're not running for one of the major parties. For example, if you're a Democrat, you just file as a Democrat. You don't need a petition. If you're a Republican, you file as a Republican. If you're the Green Party, you file as a Green Party. If you're all kind of libertarian, you file as a libertarian. The recognized parties require no petition. Now, if you run as a write-in campaign effort, and you're not affiliated with any party, then they will require you to have a petition of names for you to qualify to run.
Is that the same in all states?
For much so, yes, sir.
So I'm just remember Chicago, you're always seeing petitions.
Yes, that's a whole other thing, so. The first time in fact, I went down to register to vote in Chicago. Me and Ajib, his name was Colden, then ran in Progressive Land Development. We went downtown in our trench coats and our hats. 1974. You know how we were back in the day. And we filed, downtown, because Imam Muhammad encouraged us to go in to do when he came in office. We went downtown and we did it, following our leader. But for the most part, unless you're running as an independent candidate, you're not affiliated with any kind of party, then they want you to have so many people say, yes, I will vote for you in a petition. Now, I'll tell you this and I'm going to move on. We have a young lady in Forsyth County. She runs for everything on a petition. People know her by name. She walks into the room, oh, here she go again. But everything to her is a problem. You can't talk to her. She wanted to debate you about, is the sun shining on the left side or the right side? And after a while, I was on the Board of Elections. I was on that before I became a county commissioner. And so people come in with petitions, but you got to verify these are voters. You just can't make up Donald Duck, Susan B. You got to have names of people who registered to vote. This girl would let me slow down. This young lady would come in with a list, and half the people on the list were not registered voters. And I have a lot of patience, but I got to the point where I said, listen, I worked with you for 6 hours trying to confirm these people. Half of them are not even voters. I don't have any more time for you. And I apologize. But I'm not going to spend another minute on this situation with you. And now I'm the worst person in the world, of course, because I had to check her. But that's the reality. All right. 14. Question. Yes, ma'am.
Votes were not accurate. What happens? Did she turn in the list, or what did she do with that information?
Well, she had already turned it into us at the Board of Elections.
So you just mark it as invalid, an invalid list?
Eventually. Those that can vote, we confirm they voted for her. They signed a petition for her. Those who are not registered voters, we have to delete them from her list. And there's a minimum number you're required to have to even be put on the ballot. So she lost a lot of time. In other words, someone said it earlier, be honest. You got to be honest. Well, you don't have to, but you should be honest. You should be honest, right? It will catch up. If you're not honest, I guarantee you, in a public situation, it will come back to chew on you a little bit. It's better to be honest up front. All right, I saw a hand. Yes, sir. Oh, all right. All right, number 14. What clear message would you bring to your office to serve your community better than the current office holder? So what difference would you make? You got to think through your message. You hear it a lot in these professional campaign people. What is your message? And you have to be succinct. You can't spend 2 paragraphs on a message. Just tell people precisely what you, inshallah, plan to do for them. You got to get I out of the way. You're working at that point for the public, in a real sense of the word. As Muslims, we should be doing that anyway. We should, inshallah. All right, 15. Name 3 issues that your community would want you to commit to working on to help solve if you are elected. That word should be on, not ton. I ran through this pretty fast when I was typing it. That's my error. It should be name 3 issues that your community would want you to commit to working on to help solve if you are elected. Be specific about those things. I work with a lot of groups out of D.C. Impact, you name it. I'm in D.C. a lot because of Imam Talib, when I can afford to go, because he called me sometimes too much. I love my brother, though, and I love my sister featured it. So, but I go to these different groups, you know, foreign, well, other Muslims, and they always have an international issue they want me to address, whether a senator in D.C. or representative in D.C. And I've gone Muslim Day on D.C. I led a whole delegation from North Carolina as ACGG representative, because I sort of my nature to do that, right? But when I look at their issues, I say, wait a minute, hold it now. I'm concerned about Palestine, yes. I'm also concerned about unemployment in my community. Well, the educational position of a lot of African-American kids in my community, a lot of issues I'm concerned about here. So let's massage this a little bit. If it's going to represent the Muslim community, we have to be aware of what our issues are. We got to be aware of them, and then you can echo them and promote them. It's very important, because I've been there too many times, and I've knocked on senators' doors. I say, they give you a sheet you fill out, basically, issue and solution you're coming up with to resolve it. You don't just go in there with your hand out. You're going there with a solution, and they'll give you an office, give you some time to talk to them. But include our concerns, too. And by that I mean sometimes we love our brothers and sisters overseas. Under Sister Feature Muhammad's leadership, I went to Umrah in March. Very successful trip. She's responsible for that. I still owe her some buds for her front yard. I promised her some buds a long time ago, some flower buds. They're on the way still, so I got to get those to her. But she took about 30 of us over there. You know, we stopped in Egypt coming back and had a wonderful experience. I went to Umrah, we did Medina and Mecca under her leadership. Well-respected sister internationally, very humble. But we should raise up our own people sometime and stop, the crab barrel stuff. I'm going to stop right there. All right, let's move on. Number 16, why would you want to run for public office? That's the key one right there. You got to be honest. Look in the mirror and ask yourself honestly, why do I want to run for public office? Yes, sir.
Isn't the majority of the representatives in North Carolina Republicans?
They have the majority in the General Assembly, yes. But they don't have a veto-proof majority on the House side. Our brother, he can talk more about that. Now, as a person representing ACGG, we're nonpartisan. I have to say that up front. We're neither Democrat, nor Republican, nor Green. We think independently on critical issues, and we try to represent those to the broader community. American Coalition for Good Government. It was started right here in Charlotte in 1997 by Imam Muhammad. It was called Coalition for Good Government then. Then we did a little research legally and found out someone else had that name. So we had to change it legally to the American Coalition for Good Government. In fact, at that meeting, Brother Nassif was at that meeting. This is 1997. He formed a coalition with people who had an interest in elections and also elected officials in our community to have a broader influence by building coalitions. And there have been three. He was the first convener. Marvin Muhammad out of Texas was the second one. I'm the third one in terms of national leadership. Yes, sir. Alhamdulillah. All right. Yes, ma'am. Question. Yes, sir.
Yes, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Yes, I just want to thank you publicly for years. You and Marvin Muhammad having a presence on AM 360 radio had the distinction of introducing your show, American Coalition for Good Government, for quite some time. Thank you.
Alhamdulillah, thank you.
Yes.
I'm coming back. I've been a little busy lately. We're going to come back on the radio. Yes, sir. Thank you. Inshallah, we'll be back on. I'm trying to get some other people to commit.
Ash-Shaheed.
Yes, sir. Alhamdulillah. Pleasure to meet you. Yeah, we wanted that for a long time, and Marvin and I would do it together. But you want to go in with someone else instead of by yourself. So I'm trying to get, we have, Imam Talib Sharif is our vice president, Sister Amatul Yamin is the secretary, and we have 24 people across the country that are state representatives. So I'm trying to get 2 other people to commit to being on the show with me. So if I'm not available, the show goes on. Somebody else will do it. I just don't want to go back on AM 360 solo. It should be us and not I. But inshallah, November we should have presence back on the radio, inshallah. Alhamdulillah. Sister Faith,
And I just want to also follow up on what my brother Mark is saying. It is really important that we hear more from the American Coalition for Good Government. It's really important because we've been absent. And I mean, like, I have no desire to be in politics, but I do have a desire to support good leadership.
yes, ma'am.
Not everybody wants to be in the front, on the front line. There are some of us who like being a support and are not very comfortable in that position.
Yes, ma'am.
But people who have the courage to be on the front line and who are very visible. But our community, and I include the migrant community, I don't like to call them immigrants.
Okay.
I like to call them
Migrant,
migrants.
yes.
To me, it's a more suitable
Name, yes, yes, ma'am.
title. But we need that, and we're not hearing enough from American Coalition
For
of
good
Good
government.
We really are not.
Yes, ma'am.
So I want to encourage you to do more, say more, get more included, and to really make your presentation more on that rather than, or include that in your presentation so that people can know what you do and how they can get involved in leadership position under the American Coalition of Good Government.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Because you represent our concerns, and as well as the concerns of all humanity, because we follow the leadership of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, who is a benefit to all mankind.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Yes, ma'am. We will do a better job, inshallah.
Please.
And I don't beat my chest a whole lot. We do some stuff. We just need to do more of it. But the brothers, in fact, in New Jersey, we did a town hall gathering. We'll be in California, inshallah, at a time to be grateful. And really, I'm out throughout the whole Southeast region. But I don't go on TV and say, put the cameras on me. But I do workshops across the country quite often, in fact, trying to get us engaged.
Yes.
Us engaged. Because I used to be the president of AMA in Toledo, Ohio. He recruited me from AMA to come to ACGG. I said, what you doing over there? That's another organization of migrants. And I was their president in Toledo, Ohio, working with a lot of those people. And Imam Muhammad came out and spoke to us in Toledo. And by the grace of Allah, we took care of him, and he spoke at a huge masjid in Parisburg, and I sort of led that effort for him to be there. Question? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sir. Brother Omar, but we'll do that. Yeah. Brother Omar.
I wanted to ask a question, and was thrust in politics from Imam Amatul, Yamin, and Hassan Yamin. She recruited me to come to Syracuse and work on a nonprofit. And so she said, we need to know if President Obama is the right person to vote for. So I'm going to send you into that office. I'm going to send you into his campaign. And so she sent me into his campaign. So I worked on his campaign in New York, New Jersey, and North Carolina. And after that, I got excited. And I reported back to her and said, this is the one. This is definitely the one. And so with that, I noticed that she asked me to come on with American Coalition of Good Government, and they were doing an excellent job, but they need help. And one of the portions that they need help on is trying to establish the political action campaign as well, the political action committee that raise funds for individuals from our community to go run for office. They need funds. I just attended a fundraiser probably about a week ago, and it was invitation only. The minimum to be invited was $500. Since I was aware of the process, I only donated $125. Each individual that donated money, it was only one per reservation, so I donated $100 for me and $25 for my wife, and they brought in Councilman Carson, Omar, and sister from Michigan.
Yes.
Yes, and they raised over $80,000, and we were only 2 African Americans there. And the majority of them they were from overseas. So I was hot, I was mad, furious, but I already brought this to the community. And I told them, I said, if we don't dig in and support our brothers and sisters with their campaign funding and their voting block, you're going to be replaced. Imam Muhammad said, they're not here to help you, they're here to replace you. You're going to be replaced. And after that night, Masjid called me and I told him what happened. Because I'm the one that runs around and say, hey, I like the shadows, I like to raise the money. And when I was running for city councilman in North New Jersey, it was Masjid that helped me. Also, Brother Beasley, may Allah forgive him for his sins and grant him paradise, he was there as well. And they told me politics is local. It's local. If you're sending money to somebody that's out of your state, they really can't do anything for you. So brothers and sisters, we need fundraisers, we need campaign contributions to our elected officials, right? And we also need to know how to use people like Brother Masjid. You just need access to him. That's all you need. I knock on his door. I need to know which organizations have money, who has a foundation, so I need to submit a grant to. That's all I need from him. I don't need to ask him for anything else. And if my grant doesn't go through, after the 3 years after I kept on sending it through, then I come back, Brother Masjid, my grant didn't go through. I want to know why. Could you get on the phone and ask them? That's how we use him. But he had a fundraiser. It should have been packed. It should have been packed. He needs money to run. We need money to run. And we just need access. And Brother Masjid is giving us access, knock on his door.
We need trust.
Yes.
And you're absolutely
Yes.
right.
We need,
Yes.
more
You're
than
absolutely-
anything, we need trust.
I think we have that.
And politics has not been a safe place, has not represented our needs.
But this is for our community. I started out saying that we need to support our
Well,
own.
that's
There are a
why
lot
I'm
of young
trying to
brothers and
encourage.
sisters that are running under the association
Even
of
some of
Imam
our
W.
brothers and
Muhammad.
sisters, I'm from North New Jersey, so I
Yes.
know Beasley, may Allah be
Yes,
pleased with
yes.
us.
Right. Thank you, Brother Omar. Let's give our sister the opportunity to respond.
I'm just saying, which is why I'm encouraging the American Coalition of Good Government to be more active.
Yes, ma'am.
Because we do trust America, the people that are on that very small group, we trust them. And so when you're doing your presentation, again, I encourage you to talk more about that so that we could get involved.
Yes, ma'am.
That's all I'm saying.
I think to respond to Brother Omar's concern is number 17 as well. And number 17 says, what do you think you need in order to run a successful campaign for public office? Now, there are two ways to influence political entities, through votes and through money. We have more votes than we have money. I'm just breaking it down right quick. Okay? Now, to run for county commissioner for Forsyth County, I looked at the numbers. 5,000 votes was all that was required to run in the position that I was successful in. And by the grace of Allah, I got 90% of the vote. But that's because of community work that I did. I didn't have a lot of money in my campaign. I had all these experts come to me and say, look, oh, Brother Plemon, for $20,000, I'll do this for you. I'll do that for you. I'll send out these little flash things to every resident in the District 8. I said, I'll tell you what now. I grew up in this community. I taught high school for about 40 years. I taught at university, community college. I have somewhat of a reputation already in the community. So name identification I don't need. So take your $20,000 effort and take it to someone else. Now, everybody can't do that though. But in my case, my whole campaign was $4,500. And I said, my treasurer, as I told you before, he still kept $1,200 for my next campaign. Because I'll be 70 years old by the grace of Allah when my time is up in 2022. I don't plan to run right now. My wife says we'll see. I'll be 70. I've been in public life anyway. But he's saving $1,200 for me just in case I decide to change my mind, right? And what the brother's saying has a lot of validity. It's not just ACGG, okay, in terms of support. We have a website. You can go on there and push your button and make a contribution. This little badge here is our major fundraiser, $10. I go around the country, it's hard to get 10 people to buy 10 buttons. Because we still have, as our sister said, the trust factor is still embedded in us. It wasn't always that way. Now, like I said, I grew up, I was 13 when I came to this community. I'm 67 now. And I was on the Boss Rasul's treasurer committee when we raised $1 million in 90 days to buy an airplane for Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And our most important title then was brother and sister to each other. It was not labels. You're my brother, then half of my bean soup belongs to you. You're my sister, then half my bean soup belongs to you. If I have a cup, half of it is yours. That cemented us.
That's right.
Now we got to go through all this stuff. We very rarely call each other brother and sister. That's our foundation. Now, I was blessed to meet the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in 1974 at his house. He interviewed me and my wife before we taught at the school there. And Sister Marva took us over there, and we, had a nice conversation with the Lamb, as we called him then.
Yeah.
And he spoke even then in metaphors. He said, Brother Plemon, you haven't been here, but you've been there, right? I said, you're right, the Holy Apostle. Then he said, why don't you hear one tree fall in the forest? I said, I had no answer for it. He said, let me tell you something, brother. Do your work first. Let the people discover it. Do your work first and let the people discover it. Don't go out broadcasting because people, once they hear you broadcasting, they'll be right behind you trying to block you. So do your work first.
Yes.
And then let the people discover it. I found it to be so true in so many aspects of my life. And that trust factor, Allah is always in charge, right? Every day he gives us two gifts, our eyes open up to see each other. We got to get back to brothers and sisters, to cement us. I've been on the battlefront with some brothers who, we've been in some serious situations before. But I wouldn't have been fighting with them had I not had that cemented brother relationship with them. I don't mean metaphorically fighting. But I wouldn't have put myself in that situation if I didn't have a love for the brother from my heart, right? So we got to get back to that trust. We trust the law. We trust the example of Prophet Muhammad. We trust him in Muhammad's leadership. Allah bless us, three great gifts. Farad Muhammad was a gift, believe it or not. Elijah Muhammad, a gift.
Yes.
Imam Muhammad, a tremendous gift that the world community now is looking at. I was at Wake Forest 2 tonight, speaking to a class of future preachers and divinity students. And I brought a couple other brothers. I wanted to bring a sister, but she was tied up in some other stuff. I had all the copies of books that Imam Muhammad had written. I gave him all the copy. That professor's asked me to come there 3 years in a row. Now he wants to assign to me 2 of his students as interns to write the history of Al-Islam in Winston-Salem. Something I've been working on for a long time. I was just tired if I couldn't really put my full attention to it. But it needs to be done. Each community has a unique history that we need to write, not someone else write for us. Our story has to be told by us. And we have people now in our community who sacrifice their lives. Some are 80 years of age and older. We need to interview them and get their stories recorded and pass it on to our grandkids. It's an inspiring message they have. And the world community can benefit from it. Now, I went way over my time period. I went way over my time period, so I got to wrap this up. If you don't mind, I'd like to end on a little short prayer. This is for the Constitution, for those who want to figure out what this is. Your preamble, 7 articles, 27 changes at the back of it. There's 3 parts to it. It's only 4 pages long. Don't let someone else tell you about the Constitution. You study it for yourself. P, preamble, 6 reasons listed here why we have a government. We, the people of the United States, in order to form what? A more perfect union. You know the details, right? There's 6 reasons there. This tells you how it operates. First article is the legislative branch of government, how it should operate. Second one, executive, how it should operate. Third one, judicial. It's just 7 ways of operation. Back here's how it's changed over the years. What's changed? Something in here was changed. We're no longer considered 3/5 of a person. It was identified like that in this part of the Constitution. So these are the changes. I put a C here because it means amendment, same thing. I want to give you a C instead of another A. The state constitution, same design. North Carolina has a preamble. They have more than 7 articles, but it's the same format. Know the documents for yourself. You owe that if you want to run for public office. Inshallah, I've said something that would benefit. Here's a little quick thing that Imam Muhammad said that I'm going to end up with. Statement of Imam W.D. Muhammad. I got to take my glasses off to see. It's that time of the year. I thank Allah for it. Okay, Williamsburg Charter Foundation, First Liberty Summit, June 25th, 1988. Precious souls of Americans of the past and present, here I greet you as Muslims greet each other, Assalamu alaikum, which means peace be unto you. The following is given as an expression of Muslim deep-seated support for the freedom of religion. The Founding Fathers' classic treatment of man's worth and American law in its constitutional role of championing the safety of man's common and vital life and liberty are no doubt concerns held in sacred regard by the international community of Muslims. Moreover, that the Quran and the Prophet Muhammad represent for Muslims the living and enduring source of our support for freedom of religion is common knowledge with Muslims of all nationalities. Therefore, it is in the spirit of man's historical classic and universal attention to human life and freedom of religion that we humbly join Williamsburg Charter Foundation reaffirmation ceremony with the many races and religions of America we cherish for all others as for ourselves. Freedom of religion, the first liberty, Imam in the Society of Muslim Americans, W.D. Muhammad, son of Elijah Poole Muhammad and Clara Evans Muhammad. This was written in 1988 at the Williamsburg Charter Foundation. And of course, it starts off with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you, brothers and sisters, again. If you go ahead, join me in a little short. This is to remind us where we came from. Surely I've tried myself to thee, O Allah, being upright to he who originated the heavens and the earth, and I am not a polytheist. Surely my prayer and my sacrifice, my life and my death are all for Allah, the Lord of all the worlds. Amen. Thank you.
I told you this would be a very good treat for you this morning. I'd like to thank Commissioner El-Amin for taking the time to come and share this valuable information. For many of you, it might be the spark that gets you on the road for public service. Understanding that, again, I thoroughly enjoyed that. And on behalf of Masjid Ash-Shaheed, we'd like to present you with this little token of our appreciation.
You're trying to buy me, man. I'm just
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your kindness. Takbir.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
So this concludes our workshop, and I guess the people for the next workshop will be coming in, but if you want to talk with Commissioner El-Amin, you know, he's here for your questions. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. I'm going to Aggie Land for a few minutes for homecoming.
So, brother, to see you. So, should I run for mayor?
Miss you, and just like